Hello. Right, sorry about being slightly late. I completely forgot. Partly because of postponing from last week and change of time. Excuses, I know. Hello. Right, let's have a look where we were. We were putting our nice doors. Oops, that's not a great example of a nice door. What's going on there? Oh, yeah, there you go. Our nice doors into the rooms, and we set it up so that you could move the doors around using the handles. You can click to turn them on and off on the side. You may notice, if you have been very observant on the last stream, since the last stream I've changed a couple of things. When the roof is not on, I've made it so that the yellow handle is at floor level. Makes it a bit nicer for selecting walls when you're looking from above, so you can drag them in and out, that sort of thing. And then you can still drag the room around. I also fixed a bug with these blue handles for the doors, because the direction you drag in was wrong. So I figured out that it was actually at 90 degrees. So fixing that means you can just drag in the direction that you want the door to move, which makes a lot of sense. Like so. Okay. Back to the task in hand. Let's make this back a bit smaller, like this. And we've got another room here, which... So, we left it with the door for... what are they called? So the way that objects interact is through these things called fields, and there's modifiers and queries, and the doors have a modifier field and the walls have a query field, and when they overlap, in theory the wall knows that there's a door coming there from somewhere else and can leave a space. We haven't done all of that yet. We started on it, and there's a bit where you can see it lights up white. That's because it's spotted there's an overlap. There are some issues. It's not foolproof for some reason. We haven't got it making the gap or anything yet. I've had a few thoughts about what we can do to improve that, but there's a few restrictions which we might just have to put up with for now. One of those is that the rooms won't be able to be rotated, because I'm going to have it so that a west door can only hit an east wall, that sort of thing. So as it would only match that way. It wouldn't work if you turned it around and then tried to join it down here. So I think at the moment that's going to be my workaround for some of this weirdness. But we can revisit that later if I work out what's going on, why it's not fully registering these overlaps. Yeah, it seems to it kind of works. That might be just a bug in the interaction system between the objects. It's quite possible. That's an experimental feature. So we're going to we'll have a look at that if there's a problem. I'm just going to do a quick little audio test. Can I still be heard? Lovely. Yeah, that's working. Right. So with these rooms, walls, doors, whatever they are, what I'm going to do... I think am I slightly in the wrong place? Move me over. What I'm going to do is first of all change the way the naming works for the doors, and then... Oh dear, it's been 2 weeks. I've forgotten what I'm doing. Right, let's have a look. The wall has it. Doorway editing, and here we go. Door offset is the parameter with the name, whether or not there's and that's the box handle wall west. Oh, it has got a name. hang on, wait a minute. So we can see we're passing in for each wall west, east, south, north. So the walls know which have a name for their side. This is the handle name for the right. So these are for dragging things around. We also want where are the modifiers? Query. So the wall is looking for other doors. That's correct. What we want to be doing is looking for doors of the opposite type. That's going to be tricky because it's named. Oh, we've got the side, so we could generate a name from that. Some sort of switch thing. Okay. Yeah, we can probably do that. And then the actual doorway itself, which is buried in here, door, creates a modifier called other doors. So what we could do, doesn't have to be the name east, west, north, south. We could just use the number, the side number, and flip it for the other matching ones. Probably want to visualize that though, so I'd have to look at that just to make sure it's doing the right thing. We got a show? No, we haven't got any show text. There quite often I add a utility to show bits of text in the scene. That's quite good for debugging stuff. Might have to do that and faff around with that for a bit, but for now let us just get the names out generated and see if that helps. So does the door know which side it is? No, it's just where it is. Okay, so we need to pass in something to say which side it's on, which we can, if we look back up here, so the wall's got a side. Here we go. West is 0, 0, east is 0, 1, south. Yeah, so north, south have got that bit 1 set, and east, west have got bit 0. Sorry, bit 1 cleared. And then we can toggle bit 1, bit 0 to switch sides, so that would work. So let me do that. In fact, if we do, where's it gone? Right, yes, this query here. So we want 4 different queries based on the side. So let's do that. So we got text operators to just join stuff together. I'm just going to go other doors, and then we can turn an int into a string like so. That'll be the side, and that's going to be the name that we're querying. Is that what we want? Well, we'll come back to that. That's going to query for the number of the side the door is on. Which do we want the doors to say they're on the wrong side, or no? I think the doors should say which side they're on, and the walls should ask for the opposite. So we'll need to swap this over in a minute. But the actual door itself, we can do a similar thing. Let me have a look. Where's it gone? Here we go. Other doors. In fact, we can copy that. Whoops, wrong one. We copy that here. Oops, what did I do? I broke something. I know what broke. It's all right. Right, this is here. Gonna need that as an input, which we'll come back to in a minute, and then we can use this. The doors here. So it's other doors with a number. So this is let's say this is a side specific modifier based on and this is the side again. We can probably copy this information just so we know here as well, and that now needs to be brought out further up to here so that we can, where's it gone? Doorway side here. Right, so each door will generate a modifier for that side, but we want the queries to toggle. Now we looking at these numbers here. We said because we want to match east and west, and then south and north. We want to basically flip those so that the west side of a door on the west side will match a wall on the east side of another room. So that's east-west swap, and then south to north. So yeah, so we are going to be toggling bit 0, and a simple trick for that is to use exclusive OR. Go back to your CS knowledge, and if we set that to 1, which is the bottom bit, that will toggle it. So we want the, again, this is side specific query, opposite side to wall. So this is our query. So a wall will be looking for doors coming from the opposite wall. There you go. That's the logic. And it's just going to be a name that has other doors, space, and a number. We don't see those, unfortunately, at the moment. No way to visualize them. And yeah, rather blindly, that's in theory all that's needed. We don't seem to have anything going on, so I don't know whether it's working or not. Anyway, gonna need some more diagnostics in a minute. Let's have a look. So query of opposite door is direct. Now, have we missed hooking anything up anywhere? Side. Here, side 0, 1, 2, 3. Is that right? Which side of room? North, west, 1 east, 2 south, 3 north. Yeah, those all match. So each wall has got the right side number. The name is additional to that. I guess it's a bit of redundancy, but for now that's fine. Toggled side doors query. Yeah. Okay, let's see what's going out here. What we're doing with that information. Other doors. What we decided was if any get passed in, we show a frame, and that's all we're doing at the moment. So let's see how that's going. Yeah, so in theory, right, well, we could visualize the boxes involved and then see if that's working. But yeah, this door is not intersecting this wall. I don't know why. Let's try and visualize the bounds and see if we can improve that. So it's going to be a bit of a scrappy stream today. Yeah, I'm a bit thrown by it being 2 weeks, and I'm a bit thrown by a few things. But we'll see how we get on. It's going to be noodling with procedural stuff still, which is what this stream's about. So let's have a go and see. Right. Let's have a look at the door. So the door has got this modifier here, which we could visualize with a... I'm going to do a box because we can color it like these highlights, but it'll be solid one. And it's going to be a whole door. Oh, we run out of... Can we do it in there? No, we can do... I don't think we can do it out here because that's... No, so it needs to go in the... out with the visuals. We're going to have to merge that in. I'm just going to stick another one here just for messiness. Pink. Alright, so we've got black. Let's make it pink. Oh no, red's good. We've got red. Alright, so the door has a red box in addition to all the other stuff going on. And that's the bounds of the door. It just matches exactly at the top, which is why I said fighting. That means any door should have a red box, yes. And any wall should, well, at the moment we haven't done anything for that. So the red box is where these, it's going to be where this modifier is. This, where it's saying, I'm a door. And the wall, which is saying, any doors there? We could colour it based on this number. Come back to that. I might try and do the text thing, then we can have a number on it. And that illustrates some more advanced debugging techniques, kind of printf-y kind of debugging, if you're familiar with that. So we want to do the same thing on the wall. So here we've got our query, and that is we're going to stick a box in, and it's going to be all visuals. Let's whack that here. And it's going to be the bounds here. Oops, missed. And going to give it a colour. Let's do orange. No, let's do cyan. Cyan and red, opposites. There we go. Obviously, it all goes very messy. So those are all wall bounds. In theory, when those red boxes hit the blue boxes, it should register as an overlap. But it's not. That's annoying. Wonder why not. Okay, to be determined. Are we all on the right level? Oh, that room's taller. Okay. What size is that then? That's 4. That one's both 4. Oh, no, they're not. 4, 4. Seem like it. Oh no, that one's 4.5. Why did we do that? I wonder. Maybe that's because of the doors. Oh yeah, there's no. A bit squashed. Let's make this one 4.5 as well. I'm talking, mumbling to myself. Sorry. Let's make that one as well. Okay. Yeah, so that's now the same height. Okay, let's visualize. Let's try and work out if we can visualize the numbers on each door and wall, just to make sure that's all correct. And it's useful functionality for the future. So this might be a little bit of a detour, but it's a bit of insight into how some of this extra stuff works. So we've got show, this, that, and the other, box, frame, various things. I'm gonna do a show text. I'm sure this is all going to go horribly wrong, but we're going to give it a go. Now, for text in Unreal, there's a render text component which we can hook up, and that can be, because you can place components, then you can tell it to do that. Well, let's add it to project resources because it's kind of a fundamental thing. Editing handle. Let's add another folder called debugging. It doesn't have to be debugging. You can use it in World. Let's call it. I'm going to do components because in theory you could have all sorts of components. Now, if I add a new resource here, I can set it to component. Give it a name. This is going to be text. Let's call it component instead. So project component text. Now, this is getting a little funky, but bear with me. So, when you specify component, there's a little icon here, you get to choose the component type as a template. Now I want a text render component. Now that is kind of like a copy of one of those objects, and if you expand it, you get all of the default properties and things. And it's useful for having a quick look at what's available for you to fiddle with. And another feature of, well, let's place this, and then I'll come back to how we hook up some of these properties. As you probably remember. In here, we can resolve a resource and then place it. Now, our descriptor, it works exactly the same as if it was a mesh, because in fact a mesh, it creates a mesh component. It's just there's some stuff that's specific to meshes that's really useful to have specialized, whereas this is the more general component placement, so you can in theory place any component like lights, emitters, sound sources, and in this case text renderer. So you get an ID once you've resolved it and you can place it somewhere in the world. What we're going to do, so we need to specify that, and that's the output. So this default everything will just place that in the world. What I can do to test this is just drop in another entity. Here we go. Give it the show text and see what happens, which is going to be where's my widget? Why not? Lost my widgets. Interesting. Oh, it's because I got the smart editing on. Sorry. Yeah, smart editing disables the widgets. Let's turn that off. Right, back to this thing. Right, here we go. At the moment, it's probably not doing anything. There's a couple of reasons for that. I don't think the default one has any text actually set on it. That's probably the first thing to try and do. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to here. So when you place something, there is a parameters list you can pass in, and that can be used for a variety of things. In the mapping, in the resource mapping, you can use these parameters to do stuff. So if we make a list, we'll start with a string. No, that's not a string. Oh, it's get anyway. I'm trying to add them together. Append string. Here we go. So if we say hello world and then pass that in, that's going to make a list of one item, which is a string called that says hello world. Pass it in as our placement parameters, which we can pick up. There's an implicit initial parameter, which is the bounds, and then after that is a set of parameters that comes from here. So if we go back to this, we can see. Right, we go back. Parameters. So in this parameters section, we can make a list. Yeah, you can see there's an implicit frame already, but if we add a second one, let's call this text. Oops. These names are just for internal use here, and that's saying the next parameter, i.e. the first one in our list, which appears after the frame, is going to be a string, and we're going to refer to that as text. Now we can do a number of things with that. On our component here, there's a component setup section. There's a number of different actions. We can set a property, or we can call a function, and then set them up. I think if it's not entirely clear which is the best way to do some of these things, because some of them are duplicated. Like I know that which one is it? There is a set alignment. Yeah, it's like set horizontal alignment, but there is also a horizontal alignment property. I think if you set it as a property, it doesn't work, but if you call the set function, it does. So I think generally if there's a set function, use that. If there isn't, use the property. I don't know if there's a set text. No, there isn't a set text. So for the actual text, we're just setting a property. You could set it to a constant value, or you can point it at one of our incoming parameters, in this case text. So this should hook up and set the text. There might be other things we need to set up, but we can have a look. Oops. Oh, look. We have text. So, can anyone see the problem? There's a few things going on here. Its alignment is obviously a particular way around. It's very large, and we probably want it a bit more constrained or centered on the actual object that we are using. There's other things we can do. We can set the color, the size as actual extra parameters, so we'll do that as well. don't know if we want to. I think quite often what I do is have it so that the text is in the XY or in the apparance XY. So that's something we can arrange as well with a bit of reorientation. There's a couple of bits still to play with that we can have a look at in here. So there's a couple of things here. Right, so when the transform of the component is set, that information comes from the frame passed in, which is our frame here, our placement frame. And that can be used in different ways, and there's different modes here. And because I think what I normally do for text is we want the position, obviously, so that's the offset. The orientation we'll keep as well, so that it will rotate with our object. But the scale is probably better driven by the size. There's a world size parameter for the text. So if we say unscaled, which basically sets it to uniform scale, that should get around some of it. Yeah, so that's now unscaled because this cube, which was size 1 here, is effectively 100 units, and I think that's why it was so big. It was scaling the text component by 100 units. So we don't want that, so we've turned that off. Instead, we can do something like well, let's have a look. There's an action for this, which is, I think, well, there's a property called world size. I can't remember if there's a set for it. Let's check. There is. We should probably use that. So that takes a float. So that means we can specify. I think it's like the vertical size of the text of the letters, or like a capital H or something, in world size, which is more useful if you're trying to build things. You want it in world space sort of sizing for your text. I mean, these text components will work, and they're not just editor only, they'll work at runtime as well. So you could use them for labeling things. We can put signs up and that sort of stuff. Right, so we need another parameter for the world size. What I would also going to add is a color, because there is a where is it? Text render color, which is a color value which will map through from an apparance color. What else we have? Oh, the alignment. I might fix the alignment to be centered, but we can have a look at that in a minute. Let's do that. All right, first things first, we need a couple more parameters. So we talked about a size and a color. So if we append a float and a float color like this, we just chain these appends together. And that builds the list of 3. And it's now got 3 things in it. Still got the string first. And then our size, which is going to, let's just set it to 0 apparance units. So if I go 1, that's a meter. That's fine. Is that right? We might have to adjust for that. We can see what that looks like in a minute. Color, let's make it green. Nope, blue. Nope, pink. Let's have pink text to start with, see what that looks like. Okay, that's that. So in here we need to add more expected parameters. First the float, and then the what was it? Color. This one is going to be size, and this one's going to be color. And then we can add set text color. What was it called? Text render color here, and that's a parameter coming from color. Did that work? Whoops. I think it maybe did, maybe it didn't. Still looks white-ish. Let's try and, oh no, it did change it. That's white. Let's try just set the color property, text render color. Ha! If you call the function, it doesn't work, but if you just set the property, it does. There you go, pink text. Now the shaders for the fonts are a bit odd, and I don't know that it doesn't. It's not a very vibrant color. It's got a bit of specular on it, I think so. But we'll ignore that for now. We can still have colored text, and it does look different. That's fine. But I need to set the text size, which I think I do need to call the. we go, set world size, and that's going to be size. And I think we've got a very tiny text, and I think that's because there's no translation of Apparance to Unreal scale, because it doesn't know that this is a world sized thing. So what we will do, unfortunately, that has to be. Oh, hang on. Right, we can fix that by changing this scale here to 100, because that is the difference between because it's in centimeters in Unreal. So now we have a approximately meter high text. The box here is a unit box, so that's a meter. So that's good. Right, alignment. How does it look like it's placing that? It kind of looks like it's at the top center of the cube, which is a bit weird. I'm not sure why it's up there. Well, unless it's the center of the cube and it's across. Yeah, it might be the center of the cube. So I think when you're this placement, it uses the center of this for the center of the component. So that's probably why it's where it is. We can fix that. Well, first thing we want to change the alignment, because we don't want it always to build outwards to the right necessarily. We could make the alignment a parameter, and that's another way of doing it, but for now I'm going to set it to, well, I don't need to assign it anything. I can actually set it in the template here. I think alignment center and text center. Yeah, so it's built around the center of the cube, which is fine. We can work with that. For our purposes, that's good. Right, I think that's good for this. Means we've got the size, the position, the orientation, the text, obviously, and the color. So let's go with that and hook up some other bits and pieces. So we want to be able to pass these in when we're showing text and say, hey, I want to display this. But first I'm going to reorient it so that it does lie this way on the XY on the bottom of the, well, we want to try and get it on the bottom of the cube. I could do that too, actually. Yeah, so if you're passing a frame, it will build in the bottom. So that's not just a simple reorientation, it's actually two reorientations. So I'll do that. We could use rotations, but reorientations are a bit neater. So the frame reorient, which we've seen before, we can use one of those to do. So our X, we want to turn on its back. So let's try that. Oops, try that first. So that's over on the back, and we need another one to then rotate it around to be the right way up, which is going to be Z. Nope, it's going to. Why is it not a Z? It's a because we rotated. It'll be a Y. So we do that. So that means it's now aligned with the XY of the frame. It's just not at the bottom. So, but we can do that by probably simplest is to squash the frame downwards. Let's do that. We're going to do that before. We'll do that with a split. I might leave it slightly sized. That's an X split. We want a Z split. I might leave it a little bit of size, just so that it's, if you put it on a surface, it's actually technically slightly above it. Probably can't. Yeah, you can see there's a slight. Maybe can you see? Whoa, tiny little. No, it's very subtle. Anyway, it's enough to stop Z fighting if that was plonked on top of a surface like the wall. Yeah. So there we go. Text, and oh yeah. To use that, we need to do a few things. Let's bring these out as parameters. So text, and I'm going to give it a default. So, whoops, hell. So give it a default so it does appear. Yeah, just little things there. Let's do color next, because that's probably the next thing you're going to fiddle with. Not that one. That's there. And that can default to white, and the size here. I'll default to white. I'm going to give it a range as well. Not to white, to 1. So 1 meter text is the default. So now I'll just say hello. That's fine. Don't need that anymore actually. Right, let's put some labels on. God, that Z fighting's awful. Right, there's 2 things I'm going to do. I'm going to turn our little thing into a sub procedure to do the little visualization. I'll get it to make it slightly larger so it doesn't Z fight, and I'll do it as a labeled box so that I have a label on the top. So let's do that. And we're going to use this. So actually, so we've got show box. If I do a I can show you all sorts of little funky things here. So a labeled box is going to look like a box. So it's going to have a box, still have a bounds, still have a color, and we're going to have some. But we also want to put some text in. We'll work out where that's going and how that's going to be set up in a minute. So there'll be a, let's call it the label, and that'll need a, let's call it that. Right, we can, the color we could have it the same, but we probably wouldn't be able to see it because it'd be sat on top. So we'll modify the color slightly so it's similar color but not the same. Bounds for the text will need to be on top. Oh, we were going to expand that slightly, so we'll do that too. And the size, we could use, the size and orientation could be based on things like how big the box is. So we could do, if it's a narrow box, it could orient along the top. That might be quite handy, particularly because we've got different orientations of box going on. Sorry, let me just answer the question. Yes, so we can be a bit clever about that. Initially we're not. We're just going to, let's just get it working and then we'll fix all the problems with it. So it needs to be on top, so we're going to extend the main bounds upwards. The thickness doesn't matter because the text will be at the bottom. Oops, no, we want the upper one. Text will be at the bottom of that frame. We'll leave the rest at the minute. Merge these together, and we should have our procedure. Now let's have a look at the door, for example. So instead of showing a box, we're going to show a labeled box. Move all this over to that. And the box, what are they? Red. We have red. So now we have the doors say box. Brilliant. What amazingness. Right, a few things to fix. So let's get rid of the Z fighting and do the walls as well. Let's do the walls because, no, right, Z fighting requires a little bit of expansion of the bounds. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I could use transparent as well. No, I'll stick with this for the minute. Quick hacky way of doing it is just to scale it slightly. Resize, here we go. If we just scale it by that. Oops. I think that should be enough to stop it fighting. Yes, it is. A slight amount of size change. Oops, no, don't want to do that. We use the same frame for the text in case it impedes on it slightly. Let's do the walls as well. So we've got show labeled box instead of box. Make it cyan and That's good. So yeah, box. All right, they're going to fight with each other, but we'll just have to put up with that. A couple of things. Right, so the text is, for these, we could just reorient it, and that might be the simplest. No, I'm gonna orient. I want to orient the text in. So at the moment, we look like we've got a. Let's look at this one. We have a narrow box in X and a long box in Y. So if the Y is bigger than the X, we could just rotate that around, and that would solve that, and it would be a general solution as well. So we can do that. Sorry, getting a bit casual there. We should do it in here. We'll get the frame dimensions. Oops, I have instigated a bug. I expect a crash shortly. Let's just make sure. Let's see if we can open that up again. Yeah, that's not going to be happy, is it? Yep. Show's over, folks. I've just killed the editor. Right, I'm going to have to restart. One moment. Okay, just reloading. Yeah, I think that's a rare known bug, or a rare unknown bug. Hooray, we're back. Oh, yeah, it'll be here. It's coming. It's there. Just thinking about it. What's it doing? Okay, we're back. Let's have a look at where we were at. That should have saved some stuff, but might not have saved everything. So wall, labeled box. Okay, that's sorted that out. Hurrah! Right, where were we? We want to know if the y-axis is greater than the x-axis, and if it is, we're going to reorient. We'll do that by either reorienting by 1 or 0, so we can do all that at the front. Do we have a reorient? Yeah. So bring this in. We can test this by hand. So Z1. Sure, that'll do. Boink. Why is that not rotated? That. Oh, it might already. Oh, it might be. Is it already reoriented? I thought X was the. I thought X was to the right. Oh, we can check that. As a wall. Yeah, it is the normal bounds. Let's show a frame and see throwing shapes. Can I see? I might have to get into the floor to tell. Oh God, that's not helpful. Oh, red. Yes. Sorry. Oh yeah, there you go. So you can see red is to the right, green is along the wall. X and Y. So why is that comparison not working? Let's put that back. Label box. If the Y size is greater than that, we switch to 1. Oh, that was the axis. Steps is what we want. Grand. That works. Let us go with that. Now we can. Oh, hang on. The color. Yeah, let's make the color nice. So colors you can do a few things with. There is a blend which is quite good. So what we could do is take our color and blend down from that color to black. So we get a dim, darker version of the color. It's still the same colour, just darkened. That's neat. Let's do that. Let's see if we can find a better. Yeah, it disappears if it's too high. So we just want a little bit of thing, but then we can remember, we know which shape it came from because the colour matches. Size. Ooh, that we can. That's. I'm just gonna have to get this call. I will be back with you shortly. That's the first. Haven't had a phone call on a stream. That's also rare. I don't get phone calls, so that's surprising. Okay, excuse all the distractions and interruptions and general flakiness this week. Yeah, we'll do a bit more of this and then see if that gets us anywhere. So we haven't actually done a huge amount in terms of getting the doors working between the rooms, but let's keep going. Size. So obviously this use case is fine because the walls are about 1 meter thick, but I'm going to generalize it and I will take the min, because we're rotating around, we could just take the min size of these two. That will give us a size for it. There you go, a bit bigger. So that basically fits the short axis. That means, I guess for a small square you'd get big text, but that can be dealt with later. How do you work that out? Tricky. But that'll do for now. We have our labels. So on here, what we actually want to do is show what we could just use the string here. Brilliant. Boink. There we go. Other doors 1. So that is working. Other doors 2. So 0 and 1 are east-west. 2 and 3 are north-south. Okay, let's see what the doors are doing. And by doing a very similar thing. Where's the door gone? Oh, it's in here. There you go, it got shut down, didn't it? So that won't be open. And here we can also do that. So yeah, that's what we were trying to do. So this says yes, the walls are looking for the opposites, so that's why it's wrong around. So this west door is 0, and this north door is 3, and this south door is 2. And an east wall is looking for west doors, so this has got the right label, so it should work. So that's disappointing. So this should know that there's a wall, an object coming in. I wonder if there's something else going on. If I do that and select this object, do we have any other doors? No. Oh, I know what's going on. There's a big change. Yes, that makes perfect sense. So because we've renamed the modifiers and queries work by the names matching, but the query, any matches for that query by that name expect an input to the procedure of the same name, which it can then feed the information in. Well, previously they're all called other doors, and we have an input called a parameter here called other doors, but that's not going to work because these are all different. There's now 4 different ones, so it should have 4 different inputs so that it can receive and route the information to the relevant wall. Oh, this is getting complicated. Well, it's not. It is. It's tricky. So we need 4 inputs called other doors 0, 1, 2, 3. I don't like the fact that we'll actually now see the numbers, so I might make it so that it will have a proper name. So other doors north, east, south, west. Other doors, yeah. So we can have a little helper that turns the side number into a string, which we could use on the actual walls as well. Let's do all that. Okay, so the labeling didn't really tell us anything other than we were doing the right thing, but it did lead us down the right path. And we've now got a utility to put text on things for diagnostics so that we can use it for this sort of thing. Let's have a look then. So if let's get these doing the same thing. So instead of doing the new thing with names instead of numbers, so instead of turning this number into just a purely number text, we want something to turn it into the side name. Now that's not a general thing, it's just a lookup, so we should probably make a little utility for that. There aren't any off-the-shelf operators for like selecting from a number of strings, or indeed selecting from a number of anything. They're going to be in the future, but I'll just show you how the selection stuff works. I don't think we did any so far. No, so let's do select string. And normally because they're hand built, they'll be for a particular select from a particular number of them, because you only want a certain number of inputs. We only need 4, so I'm just going to build one that selects from 4. Select one of 4 strings, and it's a funky little thing that I often make. So we need an if, and we need we need a bit check. Now here's where it gets funky. So we'll have a what do I call it? Index. So we've got an input, which is the number to select which of the 4 inputs we want, and they're going to be these 4 inputs here. So let's get these set up, and I'll just name them after the index number. That kind of makes sense. So the idea is, let's just make the output. So whatever, for an index of 0, 1, 2, and 3, it will route the relevant one of these to the output. And the way to do that is with a little tree of conditionals. In code, there would be better ways of doing this, but as a procedure, it's actually quite straightforward. And it's so these two are going to be linked to the same condition, and then we'll have another one of these to control this one. So it's really like this first question. So the output is selected from one of these 2 inputs, and that's like saying, is it above or below 2? So is it 2 or above, or is it below 2? So which of the 2 sides of this list is it? Which is kind of a binary chop thing. So, and that will be based on the whether the value is 2 or above, which is true if, for this range, which is true if bit 1 is set. And then for either of these, we need to know whether it's the top or bottom of these 2 pairs, and we can do that by checking bit 0. It's basically, that's it. It's done. This is a select from this range, and it will loop, it will wrap, because we're only checking the bottom 2 bits. We don't care about any of the other bits. If you need like to select from 8, you'd have another stage up here for checking bit 2, and you'd have 4 ifs here, 2 ifs here, and one at the top, another one at the top. Anyway, this is a little select utility. It's quite a common pattern I use just for quickly knocking it out. At some point in the future, we'll probably have bespoke operators for this, and they'll just be tiny bit more efficient, but for now that's fine. And right, so that's a utility, but we actually want that's a really general purpose. So what I'm going to do is select, let's call it side name, name of side from index. Actually, it's probably more like a wall or a wall thing. Yeah, room thing, room. Let's call it room. Right, And here we are just going to use our new select, but we're going to hard code it to just do side to name. Okay. And let's take this list here because we need to make sure it's correct. We're going to say yes, it's one of these. So west, east, south, north. We can do west, oops, east, south, north. And now let me do that, make it nice and neat. And now we have a little procedure that says for a side give me a name, which we can use in various places. So instead of this here, we're going to use it. We're going to take the side, feed that in there. Now the door says other doors south, west. Yep, it's using it. Don't need that. We can do the same for the wall. Instead of, well, we still need to swap them over, but instead of that, we're going to have our new one. Oops, missed. Like so. Now they say have their names. So this wall here is looking for east doors. And this, even though it says the west wall is looking for east doors and the east wall is looking for west doors, so that should be good. And the last thing I was going to do, instead of passing in the name here, I'm just going to make that redundant, and just use the side because it is implicitly linked. So if we hook up one of these and then take all of these onto here, it should make no difference whatsoever, but we no longer need this input, so I will delete that. Okay, that seems good. Right, now we've just got a side number instead. There might be other places we're using the names, but I can't remember. We'll come back to that if we need it. So now let's have a look here. Our other doors west here, we're going to need an input called that. Other west, other door modifiers on west side. The west side. Now, big question. There you go. So this then picked that up. Excellent. Oops. We still have the same problem of updates, but yeah, it does. Get up. Nice. Oh yeah. So the list is being updated, the parameter coming in, but it doesn't trigger a refresh, so that's probably okay, but because it does know and it will rebuild, it's just it might need forcing. Yeah. Same. Oh, actually that works okay because it's the one we're moving. Nice. Okay. So that's working. It does know. So the west side, the east wall does know about west doors. Let's hook the other four up, and probably not going to get to do any more today, but that's fine. We'll just carry on next time. So we're going to have multiple inputs. This diagnostics here I can update. Maybe we can show on the wall what. Actually, I'll move this into the wall because we're going to want these four inputs to go to the relevant wall. So let's all hook that up. But we do need. I'm just going to use this to create four inputs, which are other doors east, other doors south, other doors north. Let's just fill these in for completeness. Okay, so we've got our four sets of doors coming in that have been passed in. Now, Since I've removed the names, it's not very clear what these all are now. So let's give them a little label again. So 0 is west, east, south, north, west, east, just so we can track what these 4 are for. And then we got hello viewers. We have a few viewers, which is very nice. Let's see what now. That's doing there. Okay, so the wall will need to know about the doors coming in. So let's add a list in here. In fact, what I'm going to do, I will take this, which is our little frame, and I will move it into the wall here. And I can use that to generate that. We can probably display that somewhere. Yes. Nope. I need a bigger merge. Just steal that one. For this. Right. I've got something to merge to. This is just test stuff, so I'll just string it across there. So when this input has other doors from other rooms that touch this wall. So when there any come in here, we'll have a little. The wall will have a frame on it, which is, well, in theory, instead of. Oh, I know what I could do. A couple of things we'll do in a minute. I might highlight that. That's actually quite a nice idea. Here's a little thing. Let's put in a. So if we have anything, we're going to switch a color. You might have guessed we're going to go from. We're going to have like a light cyan if there is, and a dark cyan if not. So we can do that. That means as soon as we get some information in here about a wall, about the doors, the wall will light up. Right, we have our 4 inputs there, and we have our 4 walls here. This might be a little tricky to let's do it big. So other doors west goes into the west. Is that right? Other doors west. Is it the door that's west or the wall that's west? I think that should go into east because the east wall is interested in west doors. Other doors east goes into west, south goes into north. And then north goes into south. Again, these have got new inputs, so they've got slightly bigger. Space them out a little bit. Right, let's see what that gives us. Oh, look at that. Oh, interesting. This wall is being triggered. It shouldn't be. Anyway, this wall lit up when it touched. Yeah, this wall lights up when it touches the door. I expect this one should do the same. In fact, both of these ones will. Yeah, that all lights up as well. There aren't any. Oh, there aren't any doors, but it's still lighting up. I wonder why that is. Oh, well, that's interesting. Oops, sorry. Not sure why, but we might be able to see some more information in the future. What I might do is just show that it knows where this door is coming from. That might help diagnose some of this. So if I pass, so this list, each wall is now getting a list of doors that's touching it, and with bounds for those doors that's relative to itself. So if we can just display those, once we can extract that information. So let's have a go at that. Actually, if I position this here, we should get. Well, it's not going to be very clear that what's going on, but this should draw around this one here. Yeah. Are we doing that as well? The wall. Yeah, we are showing the frame. Oh, I think the frame might be hidden because this box is inside is bigger because we expanded it. Let me counter that by resizing it a bit more. So we'll make the wall show a frame that is there you go. So yeah, they do have the frame as well. It's lighting up. Don't need both. I might just leave the lighting up because that's quite nice. So we'll just take those out and put this up here somewhere next to this. This is our diagnostics. We can all tidy all this up later. Make a bit more room for it. Right. What did I say? Yeah. So the wall is going to be looking at this list, and it'll use that to work out where it needs to make a gap. We'll do that. That'll be the next stream, I think. But what we can do is try and show. Yeah, I've just killed a bunch of that, but we can put it back in. So if there is something in the list, for now we'll just assume there's one. We can get now the information you get on where these modifiers and queries interact is it's like a structure. So it's each one is a list. So if I do that, this will get us the structure, and that structure consists of two entries, which I can get as well. So there's first one is the bounds, which is a frame, and then there is any parameters that were passed with the modifier. Now at the moment let's have a look at the door is creating this modifier. It's got a parameters input here. We don't need parameters right now. We might do, but for now we just need the bounds. So that's empty, which means we don't get anything sort of arriving on this entry here. So this is modifier struct that we get in, and this is the bounds, and this is the parameters of the modifier. Getting a bit squashed again. So I think that's how it works. Should be. So what we can do is we could visualize that instead of the wall. So let's again show we'll show a frame. We might need to resize that just a bit for the same reason. Kind of makes it stand out a bit better as well. And then, but we only want to do any of this if we know there are some entries in this list, otherwise this stuff will fail. And we can hook that up. Right. Let's see. Oh yes, look at that. Oh, that's interesting. There is some weirdness going on, but so the other wall is showing up. It's probably its own. That doesn't make sense. When it intersects there, so this wall is lit up, and it's got this frame here, which interestingly is not where the other door frame is. So that might need to looking at. And then also the other door has lit up, or the other wall has lit up itself. It's like it's intersecting itself. It's possible that's what's happening, but it shouldn't do because the namings don't match. I'm gonna have to dig into that. But we do know, so in theory, yeah, as I move up, as I move up and down, it should. Does that not match? Okay, there's some work to do. Uncharted territory. Well, we've got some cool diagnostics, debug stuff. It's getting us in the right direction. I might have to do some digging off stream. I will check back in next time. Hopefully have some answers to these mysterious questions. We're getting there though. I think that the principle here is that once a room knows that there is a door there from somewhere else, it can leave a gap for it. Now you may have spotted a problem in that the rooms can be positioned very specifically, but the doors are snapped. So how's it going to make a gap in the wall in exactly the right place for the door? It's a very good question and something we'll also have to address next time. I'll give you a little heads up. We're going to have to make the walls support any length, which we haven't done so far. We've always snapped to the granularity of the modular kit, but we're going to have to start doing some stretching and squashing for that to work. So that's what we'll do. We might get onto that, hopefully get onto that next time, assuming I can work out what's going on here. But yeah, it's basically working. This can be my screenshot. Okay, funky diagnostics, let's do it. Anyway, yes, thank you very much for coming. I'll see you next time. Which button is it? Which button is it?